Hi, first of all, I just want to say I'm really sorry it's taken me so long to make the next installment of this video, how to play Rough Trail. This is part 2, and I've just been insanely busy writing a lot of music for some really cool projects, and a situation that's ongoing actually, so this has had to wait until I'm actually on holiday, where I'm currently down in Cornwall in the southwest of England, and I got really sunburnt yesterday, so if I'm looking a little bit like I don't know what I look like. I look like a guy who spent too much time on the beach yesterday with his sunglasses on, reading a book, and now parts of my face are red and parts of my face aren't. Anyway, I can't really do anything about that right now, but what I can do is show you some of the challenges with learning to play the rest of this piece of music. So without further ado, let's look at what they are. So last time we got as far as physically play that with the guitar tuned to this tuning. So, and this is where I think I'm probably about to annoy and disgust a lot of you. First of all, I can't actually remember how I did the next bit. I have a suspicion about what happened. It was a few years ago. Anyway, I've got a horrible feeling that this piece of music was recorded in 2 separate halves. So the first half was obviously part 1, as we've done it in this tuning. But then how on earth do you play the next bit? And I have this memory of doing it on 2 separate days, or probably the same day, but retuning the guitar to constant pitch, because of course this was never supposed to be played live. It was a piece of music that was recorded, not to be played live. So anyway, this shouldn't stop us. Let's have a go. So I think there might be a couple of ways to tackle it. It's not going to sound exactly as it does on the recording, but hey, let's see what we can do. So the first problem we've got is D string, slide up from 3rd to 5th on the A string. Now, the picking pattern, as far as I can remember, would have been, but these notes, G string, B string, they don't sound like that on the recording. It sounds more like that. So I guess that's as close as we're going to get. Alrighty, so what have we got? We've got the middle finger D string 3rd fret, we've got the 3rd finger B string 3rd fret, and we've got the thumb poised on the D string. I've got my 1st finger hooked underneath the B string, and the thumb is going D string, G string, B string. That sounds better, but that doesn't for some reason. I guess we're going to have to work with that. So now I've put my 1st finger on the G string 2nd fret. Okay, it's a nice little thing to practice. And once you're there, all you got to do is onto the A string. Okay. Now I'm going to do it in time now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry. Sunstroke. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, well, that's as far as I can get so far. Now, how on earth did I do the next bit? La, 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 those are the notes I hear in my head. But that note that I want is here. And that's really physically uncomfortable. That just doesn't feel right to me, which is why I think I must have done this other bit, this part 2 bit, in the recording in standard tuning. I'm really sorry about that. Anyway, let's not let that stop us. I guess we can substitute for... You can still play along to the recording using those notes instead. Once you're in that shape, and by the way, it's these 3 fingers on the E, A and D string, and then that leaves your first finger free to get onto the G string 2nd fret. If you're having difficulty getting these 3 fingers into that 1 fret, just look at what your elbow's doing, what your shoulder's doing, and where your thumb is. We've all got different sized hands, and I find for me, often getting my thumb around the back of the neck allows my wrist to come forward, especially if you're trying really hard. The tendency is to tense up, which pulls all of this in. Now my hand can't really move, it can't really do stuff, so make sure you get nice and relaxed. You know, get your hand there nice and gentle before you try and press, so that when you press, you've still got freedom of movement. Works for me, but you know, I've got mates with great big hands, and they just do this, and that's fine for them, you know, because they've got bigger hands. I wish I had, but these are my hands, and I have to do that. So once you've done that, you just come up a tone, just come up 2 frets. Yeah, which brings us back round to whatever it was. There's something not right about that. Just doesn't feel like something I would, or this camera's really awkward. It doesn't feel like something I would have naturally gone for. When I was recording this music originally, I didn't have much time at all. In fact, the average for each track was 2.5 working days, I think, at its peak, to write, record, mix, produce and master each one. So yeah, whatever I did, it had to be easy, you know, for me to do, not something really, really difficult. And I think probably, you know, I would have heard it in my head, because I don't read or write music, so I do everything by ear. So I would have heard what I wanted to do in my head and then try to physically play it and come up against this, you know, because the guitar would have been in this tuning. I'd have picked it up and noodled around on it, and that's where I would have got part 1 from. I thought, oh yeah, that's going to work really well. And then I'd have heard part 2 in my head and then tried to play it, and then I would have come up against this physical problem, I reckon, and to solve it quickly, I'd have just, you know, probably picked up one of my other guitars that's in standard tuning and gone, oh, it's really easy in standard tuning to do that bit. So look, I'll just record it in standard tuning and stitch the 2 bits together, which is really easy in a computer. And there we have it. But it doesn't really help you guys much, so I really apologise for that. So, stop making excuses, Al. Now we've got to go up a tone, but to a minor, haven't we? So if that shape gives you a major, you just move that down a fret to make it a minor. Come back down, make it a major. tell you what I'm going to do, okay? I'm going to pause the video now. I'm going to retune this to standard tuning and let's see what difference it makes. Hello, I'm back. And yeah, it looks like the truth is even more hideous than the idea of doing part 1 in this tuning and part 2 in standard tuning and stitching them together. I'm afraid the good news is it looks like part 2A is done in the same alternative tuning as part 1. However, at the point where we got to thus far in the video, the next chord, it looks like you actually have to have a capo on the 3rd fret in order to make it sound right. I'm really sorry, I'm going to show you what I mean. So, this is the bit we've got to. That all sounds right. In fact, in the recording you can hear that note in there, so I reckon the little finger was probably there. And this is where it becomes a problem. So now I'm going to get a capo, which obviously would have been physically impossible to do live, and put it onto the 3rd fret. Now, sounds right, doesn't it? Because now I've got presumably these middle 2 fingers, 5th fret, E string, A string. Just strum through the strings. Okay. I reckon I'd have been on these last 2 fingers, because that enables me to slide up 2 frets, put my 1st finger on the G string on the 5th fret. Get that chord. And it all works now, doesn't it? I've tried, whilst I had the video off, I've tried to see if I could do this using, you know, in some kind of bar chord type thing, and it works for a bit. Obviously you can do that. Note where my thumb is on the back of the neck in order to give me the strength I need. You can get that as well, no problem. But then when you get to this bit, it's really difficult, because effectively, well, you just can't. You need those notes. So the fallback plan would be to do without those notes. At least that sounds kind of okay, you know, it's not exactly the same. You can get that note if you want by putting your little finger there on the 8th fret on the B string. Let's try that. Where did I get to? Doesn't sound very good though, does it? Doesn't sound as good as it did with the capo on. But maybe you could live with it. Now what on earth's going to happen, because this isn't going to sound right, is it? Sounds nice, but it's not the same as the one I had on the recording. Okay, so this is what it would be like with the capo. I bet you really hate me now, don't you? I feel really awful about this. See, it's having that capo there gives you, it's those bottom 2 notes that give it that sound. I'm a huge fan of Alex Lifeson, guitarist in Rush. Especially, I kind of learnt to play guitar by listening to his stuff, you know, and when I was a kid, I would try and imitate what he was doing, and I quickly found that in standard tuning he had bar chords, but he would he would bring the wrist forward, freeing up these bottom two strings here. And when you do that with a major shape, you do that down on the 2nd fret or on the 7th fret, and it just sounds awesome. So I look for those kind of chords when I can. That sounds kind of in here. I love that. Yeah, so sorry, that's with the capo one, isn't it? So... It's possible. Right, let's do it. Right. Where did we get to? Where did we get to? Right, let's go from the top. That doesn't sound right. I reckon the little finger has to be on the 3rd fret on the D string. That's better. So good, so far so good. I've forgotten it already. Bar chord. Right, so when you get to this bit, I think bar chord. This is no good for a bar chord. That is what we need, because we're gonna have to go, or if you've got hands as small as mine, it needs to be, can you do that as a bar chord? Would you want to? I don't know. Try it, see what works for you. Ooh. No. That's what I keep hearing. No, back to a bar chord. No. Because we need that note, don't we? Well, I feel awful. I'm really sorry. It was a means to get the track written and recorded in the shortest time possible, which is why I cheated with the capo. It was never meant to be played live, performed live. I should have worked that out a long time ago, before I did the part 1 video, actually. But so many people were asking me for a video of how to play it, I just went ahead and did it. Maybe it could be played as a duet, somebody with a capo and somebody without. Maybe an assistant could quickly rush up to the guitar and put the capo on it. No, I'm not serious about that. Although I did once see Alex Lifeson. I saw Rush play in 1983 when I was a kid, and there was this song called The Trees, I think it was, where he started off on the acoustic guitar and then it turns into electric guitar. And as I remember it, a roadie used to sprint on from the left-hand side of the stage with holding this electric guitar, I think, and they would swap guitars in what felt like about 2 beats. You know, it's incredible. I think he does it a different way now. Probably has a guitar that sounds acoustic, and he doesn't need to swap guitars. But yeah. Anyway, I don't really think you're going to be wanting to be doing things like that. So I'm really sorry. I'm sure that was the only track where I cheated like that, and the other ones were just, you know, done in one tuning, which I stuck to throughout. So I'm gonna move on now and do another video and I'm really sorry. Okay.